السلام عليكم والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Welcome all to this webinar, and it's going to be all about how to create a business plan. And we've heard a lot about the business plan, but today is definitely we're going to get our hands dirty on getting equipped with the right skills, with the right know-how about how to develop a business plan. And usually there's a lot of confusion between a business plan, feasibility study, and a business case. And this is something that we're going to cover and know what are the differences between each one of them. Okay, so today we're going to cover the topic. It's a very interesting topic, business planning. And there are two types of business planning, by the way, the business plans. People usually get confused between both of them. So we've got the business planning cycle, which requires a business plan. And this happens as part of the organization. So companies, there are a lot of companies which they don't develop a strategy. And instead, they develop a business plan. And it's going to be part of their business planning cycle. So towards the end of the year, they develop a business plan in order to showcase for top management that this is how we're going to invest in new opportunities for the next year. So think of it as sometimes it could be a replacement for a business strategy. And the most common known type of business plan can be it's developed in order to help obtaining money or help seeking money from financiers or investors. And this is usually called a bankable document. So always think of a business case as a bankable document that helps your project to get the right finances or your investment or your business startup, the right finances, either from the bank directly or from investors who are interested to inject money in your idea. At that stage, definitely is going to be called just an idea that needs to be backed up by investors. And sometimes they call the business case, they call it a pitch or the pitch document or the pitch case or the investment case. So it's got many, many names, but it's commonly known as a business plan. Before I go and pursue with the next slide, I'm going to give you like a quick comparison between business plan and feasibility study and business case. And this is usually people really get confused in these three areas or three documents between each one of them. A business plan is a document that's used to showcase how we're going to attract investors, at the same time, how we're going to operate a business, at the same time, how we're going to return back the money. So think of it as a more of a document that helps to attract money, operate the money, and after that, return back the money. So it covers many areas, such as marketing, operations, competition analysis, and even it includes a financial model that has to be part of the business plan in order to showcase where the money is going to be invested. So this is the business plan, but business case is most commonly known for justifying the investment when it comes to running projects. So it's more related to project management, it's more related to corporate environments in which a project must have a justification, must be aligned with the business, with the overall business, specifically with the strategy. But a feasibility study document, it only gives the confidence at the beginning of any kind of investment. And it's a classical approach. By the way, a feasibility study was developed way back ago, and it was the only way to justify investment back then. So the feasibility study only looks at two parts, at two aspects: the technical aspect and the economical aspect only. But how are you going to operate the business? You're going to operate it from a business plan point of view. So that's why the business plan covers many aspects. So and that's why we're going to give you the right know-hows and the right recipes in order to develop a business plan. Okay, business planning. And now we're going to start with the first slide, the importance of business plan. Business planning is a key component of creating and managing and or financing a successful organization. And this is something that we've already explained in a couple of minutes ago. And a business plan is a written document. It's a document. And one of the best things about the business plan, or one of the success criteria for any business plan, is the shorter the business plan in terms of you shouldn't come up with a lengthy document, because most of the investors don't have the luxury to go through a lengthy document. So that's why it's better to be kept as short, as concise, and short as possible. So it has to be well written in a form that it has to be concise. Okay, a business plan should include financial plans such as profit and loss, which is a profit and loss statement, and it could also include specify the goals for the company, the goals for the business, and even if you're just starting up, you need to mention what's your main purpose for your business idea, what's the main purpose for investing in this business idea. A business plan should also be used to attract investors, yes, and this is what has been already covered. Think of a business plan as a pitch deck. We call it a pitch deck, and it can be part of a pitch deck. So a pitch deck, it can be like a number of few slides that summarizes the business plan. If the investor gets convinced, you can offer him a further detailed document in the form of a business plan. So a business plan can also be used as an internal guide to keep an executive team focused on and working toward short and long-term objectives about the business. And you can think of a business plan as more of a strategy document. So it can easily replace a strategy if it's a common approach that's followed by the business. Business plans are a critical first step for any company looking to attract investors, as they allow new organizations to better convey its potential and business goals. And based on statistical figures, business plan, there are many businesses who managed to develop a business plan, and it helped them to grow quicker. So 70% of businesses managed to grow faster than other businesses who didn't develop a business plan by up to 70%. So business plan can help to support business, especially in its early days. Okay. Why do we need a business plan? You may need a business plan for many reasons. And one of them is if you are seeking to start a new project or venture. And project in this case, you shouldn't think of it as a project from a classical point of view. It can be any kind of a new idea or a new investment that you want to deal with it as a project. So that's why anything that you need to start it from scratch, you need to definitely think about developing a business plan. If you're looking for a business partner, definitely, if you're looking for someone who's going to help you to share the expenses, someone who's going to help you to share the risks for any kind of a new idea that you want to dive into, you better make sure that you do have a convincible document that would convince the partner to think seriously in partnering with you. So a business plan can also be used to require finance, either from banks or from the government or from the EU in the form of grant or incentives. Incentives in terms of either from a point of view of getting subsidies by the government, tax exemptions, or any kind of incentives. To manage your business better, definitely, if you do have a director or a direction for your business, definitely it's going to help you to land in safe shores. Okay, and finally, to measure actual performance compared to what planned. So this a business plan would definitely serve as a baseline document, as a reference document in which you're going to use it to measure your performance against. Okay, so these 6 points explain why you need to develop a business plan. Okay, a good business plan can be useful to you in several ways. A business plan can help to highlight aspects of the business that need special consideration, help to identify core competencies in terms of who's going to be involved with you as part of your initiation team or establishment team, and help you to identify your weaknesses and threats compared to other competitors in the market, and open your eyes in new opportunities. So when you start drafting or crafting a business plan, it's going to help you to explore new opportunities that your business can invest or can actually drive the market or become a market leader in that area, and understand your competitors definitely, and help you plan your operations in a better way. A business plan, as I told you earlier, looks at three main aspects: operational part, the marketing part, and definitely the financial part. So these are the main core areas for developing a business plan. Yes, we do still have other areas, but these are the three main areas when it comes to developing a business plan. And it can help you use your financial resources more efficiently and ultimately in a more profitable way. Assess your management capabilities in relation to specific tasks and functions, as well as bring awareness to human resource and capacity needs. And this definitely brings in a very important fact that people build nations. So when you consider establishing a business, you need definitely to develop a business plan. But at the heart of every business plan comes the value of human capital. Don't ever underestimate the value of having the right competencies in place. Okay? Planning to plan, or a plan to develop a plan. Planning to plan, this is a commonly used term in consultancy. And by the way, I didn't introduce myself. My name is Luay Dirar, and I'm a trainer with Becca. And in the past 20 years, I've been working in the field of consultancy, specialized in project management and change, and strategic planning as well. I help many companies establish their businesses, develop their PMOs, develop the strategies, and definitely I developed many business plans in many fields, varying from agriculture to establishing businesses to even partnering with businesses and definitely acquiring business. But from when it comes to partnering with businesses, we don't call it a business plan, we give it another name. And when it comes to merging with other businesses or buying and acquiring another business, we give it another name. But in all cases, they look the same. But at the end, it's still a business plan. Okay, planning to plan, definitely. Whenever you want to develop a business plan, think of it as a document that helps you to plan for the establishment of your business, right? And in such case, you need to develop a roadmap of how you're going to develop your business plan. This is why we're going to call it a plan to develop a plan, or planning to plan. So the most important component in effective business planning is spending enough time in preparing to create your plan, identifying goals, stating the objectives, evaluating processes, and considering your mission or purpose for your company will result in a tightly focused plan. For those of you believing in business planning to be a daunting task, proper preparation greatly simplifies the process. People usually think that developing a business plan can be an overhead, but that's not true. There's an old saying that says, luck is when preparation meets opportunity. You're not going to get lucky by coincidence. You need to really sweat. And there's a Kung Fu wisdom that's well known. It says that if you want to, it's better to sweat in practice rather than to bleed in battle. Better to sweat in practice rather than to bleed in battle. This means that the more you spend time in preparing and developing a more solid business plan, this is going to help you and save you a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of effort. So it's better to sweat. Go out, collect the information. You know what's the most important component of a business plan? It's getting the right and accurate information. the more you spend time researching, getting to know about your area of interest, or the industry in which you're going to establish your business, get to know the competitors, get to know how much it's going to cost you to operate the business, what's the minimum charge and minimum wages, what's the marketing, how are you going to market your product or service. The more you spend time, it's going to save you a lot of money. And this is a very, it should be dealt as what we call it. Think of it as a starting point. If you didn't sweat, you're not going to make it at the end. Okay. And a business plan can be treated as a communication tool, a well-written and a concise, rich document in the form of a business plan can help to engage other stakeholders, especially those who do have the interest in your idea. So a business plan you can think of a business plan as a passport for your idea. So a well-written business plan can communicate the knowledge, commitment, and vision to the employees inside the business and prospective lenders, those who are going to lend you money. And after that, any potential investors. A thoughtful business plan should vary depending on whether your business is growing, or your business starting a business, or growing a business, or financing an existing company. And sometimes a business plan can help to convince investors during a downturn, whenever your business is going through what we call it, going through a turnaround exercise. And in every case, it's important as a communication vehicle. So a business plan, think of it as a passport for your idea. Okay. A classic win-win component. Business planning is critical to success, and knowing customers and competitors helps make plan effective. So when you know more about your customers, you need to, when it comes to developing business case, you need to look at important aspects. Comes to looking at stakeholders. Look at the suppliers. Who's going to supply you with your with the services and goods, which in turn you're going to transform them into a new output. So suppliers. Number two, you need to look at customers. Which target audience that you're going to serve? Who are they exactly? And the competitors. How are you going to actually come up with a more competitive advantage in your market? And finally, you need to look at your core competencies inside your company. Who's going to help you in transforming your idea into an actual physical or a service, physical output in a form of a product or an actual service. So these are the four important players when it comes to developing a business plan that you must look at when it comes to dealing with them, and these are the four important stakeholder groups. Okay, classic win-win component, yes, and a business plan can help you to evaluate, analyze, and knowing the competition better than they know themselves. So it's better not to undermine the competitor in the market. The more you get to know, assess the competitor, assess his weaknesses, assess his strengths, it's going to help you to come up with a highly competitive product or service. And finally, exhibiting the valuable knowledge of the customer base and strengths of competition helps to manage better and increases the chances of getting financing or investment when needed. Investors, definitely, they are very, very concerned about getting to know unique ideas. And the more unique your idea, the more you're going to differentiate your strategy. It's going to help you to come up with a more differentiated strategy. It's going to help you to enjoy the early beginnings of the market up until you reach the maximum maturity stage, which after that, definitely, it's going to be, you're going to face a stage where only those who are fit enough will stay in the game, others definitely will get, or others will leave the market, and the strongest ones and the strongest players will stay in the market. This comes at a later stage, but you must address it from the early beginnings, that you must know what kind of service or product you're going to come up that's going to convince the existing customers to switch from other products and services and come and buy your product and service. Okay. Necessity of strategic thinking and plans. So strategic planning is proactive. We know that you need to always look ahead, a couple of years ahead, 3 years minimum, and come back and develop a plan at the current state. This is going to help you in developing and crafting the right direction for your business plan. And the best way to develop it is to use a very simple tool that we use in strategic planning. We call it SWOT analysis. SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. We use the SWOT analysis in order to get to know our strengths and our weaknesses. And definitely, our strengths are going to be translated into opportunities, and our weaknesses is going to be a source for threats that's going to come and bite us. Okay, so SWOT analysis is used by many companies, especially those in the Fortune 500 companies. From these results, a strategy can be created to attack the market. By the way, SWOT analysis is not enough, but it's one of the recommended tools when it comes to developing a strategy. There are many tools that you can use besides SWOT analysis. You can apply a product life cycle analysis. You can conduct a BCG analysis. And after that, you can conduct industrial analysis using 5 forces, or what we call it, Porter's 5 forces, and many more kind of tools. But it's commonly known, SWOT analysis, or it's commonly used because it's very simple to use, and it's still yet an effective tool. Okay, so you need to integrate the strategy or the business strategy goals into your business planning, because your business plan, if it doesn't have any kind of alignment with your business goals or your main objectives, definitely somewhere it's going to lose track. To recognize the importance of business planning and leading the business, however, modest, just the larger, more challenging competitors do. So the more you do, the better you develop a business plan that's well aligned with a strategy, you can easily compete with the biggest players or the biggest competitors in the market. Okay. Factors of a successful business plan. And this, think of it as a checklist. So whenever you get the chance to have a copy of this webinar, or you can easily make take some notes, deal with it as a checklist. So treat it as a checklist. And number one, on top of the checklist, or the advantages of having a business plan, is to a plan can offer a significant modest edge. Okay, number one is to set the objectives and benchmark. Objectives and benchmarks compared with other competitors in the markets. This is one of the easiest ways, and it's not that easy yet, but you need to compare your business with other competitors in the market. And nowadays, the competitors are not necessarily in the same or are located in the same country because of the globalization and the use of technologies. Now other competitors can easily come and sell products and services, even if they're not in the same territories. And number one, when it comes to looking at the advantage of having a business plan, number one is to set the objectives and benchmarks. Proper planning helps a business set realistic objectives and assign stipulated time for those goals to be met. And this is one of the things that we already covered earlier in this webinar. This results in long-term profitability and lets a company set benchmarks and key performance indicators necessary to reach its goals. So you better start with creating a benchmark with other competitors, even with other sister companies. If you do have, if your company is part of a group of of sister companies. You can set a benchmark, treat it as a baseline. And after that, you need to develop a strategy or a direction for your idea or business or startup. And based on that, you're going to create what we call it key performance indicators. Once you do have a target, you can easily set key performance indicators. You cannot set key performance indicators without having a target. Okay, number 2 in the list comes maximize resource allocation. A good business plan can help to attract money, and money is one of the resources that you need to definitely make sure it's available at the beginning, because once you get the money, you can buy or get the rest of the resources. One of the resources, important resources, as I told you, is having the right competencies in place, having the right setup in the form of offices, recruiting staff, changing production, shifting, upgrading your production lines, coming up with any kind of facilities that will help you to develop a new service or a new product. Okay, it can help you also to estimate the business or the financial impacts when it comes to developing a business plan. Enhances viability. The more you develop a business plan and the more it's accurate, it's going to help you to set the right justification for your project. So this will give the right viability, or it will help to support the viability of your idea. So a plan greatly contributes towards turning concepts into realities. And definitely the blueprint of successful companies often serve as an excellent guide for nascent stage startups and new entrepreneurs. It helps existing firms in the market to market, advertise, and promote new products and services into the market. And finally, we've got 2 points here, and this is all about what are the advantages of developing a business plan. Aids in decision making. Yes, a business plan can help to support the decision making, and especially from those who are going to invest in your project. So it's going to serve as a pitch deck, as I mentioned earlier, and after that, it's going to help you attracting the right investments to back you up. Definitely, especially during the early days of your startup or idea. And finally, fix mistakes and attracts investors. And this is one of the what we call it core reasons for developing a business plan is to attract investors. Okay, factors of a successful business plan. We're still in that area. Business plan must fit with the business needs. If it's not aligned with your business needs, definitely it's not going to be a viable business plan. So business plans are about starting and growing a company. It can be a company in its early stages of development. You still need money. You need to develop a business plan in that case, in such case. And once you attract finances or attract funding for your idea, it's going to help you to grow and expand your reach. So a plan that might be great at selling the company might be bad at supporting a loan application or managing a company. As I mentioned earlier, that there are many forms of business plans. Ones can be used for starting up a business, ones that can be used for operating a business, ones can be used to partner with another company, and others can be used for merging or acquiring other companies. So you need to be careful in which kind of business plan that you want to come up with, because each one of them has its different taste. Okay, factors like readability and ease of navigation and covering all the main points depend a lot on whether those qualities affect achieving the plan's objectives. So you need to look at many factors, even when it comes to market readiness, when it comes to developing a business plan. So what makes a good business plan is that it fits the business need. Does it achieve the business objective? Definitely, you must answer that question, because it has to be aligned with the strategy of your business. It must be aligned with the business needs. And overall, it must help you to set the right direction. Another factor is a business plan is realistic. It has to be realistic, and it has to be realistic, and it can be easily implemented. If it's not realistic, if it will not give you the right direction, if it's not based on accurate data, definitely is going to ruin your repetition if it's an established business, or it will set you or create more troubles when it comes to financing or getting finances from the banks. And definitely, the more you spend time, as I mentioned earlier, the better to make sure that your business plan is close to reality. So a second measure, good or bad business or a bad business plan is it realism or is it real or not? A realistic business plan, we know it's going to help to specify a number of factors, such as potential customers, the size of your business, and which size is appropriate to the offered product or service. So how are you going to attract your customers? And what are the kind of services that you're going to develop? These are all answers that you're going to question from a business view. And a plan that requires millions of dollars of investment but doesn't have a management team that can get the investment is not a good plan. So one of the other factors is to look at the human factor, as I mentioned, and especially those who are going to become the captains of the ship, because a business plan without having the right top management, the right philosophies, and the right strategists in place definitely is going to become a source of pain, and it's going definitely the ship is going to sink sooner or later. Okay. And another factor is business plan is specific. You can track results against. It's going to help you to track results against plans. And every business plan ought to include tasks, deadlines, dates, forecasts, budgets, and metrics. It's measurable at the end. So a business plan, think of it that there's another aspect of the business plan that must include a schedule. So must include a schedule. It will help you even to set a roadmap for how you're going to progress from the early beginning stages until you reach your fully operating phases. And after that, you're going to start serving your clients and customers. Ask yourself when you start or whenever you are in the middle of developing a business plan, as you evaluate the business plan, how will we know later if we followed the plan? So you must have like performance measurement mechanisms in place that will help you to measure if there is any deviation that might happen, how are you going to tackle it, or how are you going to bring back the business plan back to course? Okay, how will we track actual results and compare them against the plan? Comparing actual results versus those planned definitely will give you a very good indicator about how well are we progressing. And finally, how will we know if we are on plan or not? So any kind of deviation must be triggered and must be treated immediately, because if you don't tackle issues on the spot, definitely it's going to ruin your entire idea. And there's a blue sky approach strategy, and this is, you can know about it more. This is a very good approach when it comes to developing business plans. It's called the blue sky strategy. It's great. It's a great approach. It helps for good planning and depends more on what, when, and how much. So this is an approach which is quite close to managing projects. By the way, project management still plays a very important role when it comes to implementing business plans. Okay. Business plan, another factor, business plan clearly defines responsibilities for implementation. Who's going to be part of your warriors? Who's going to be part of your warriors? You need to clearly set what are the gaps when it comes to recruiting the right competencies, because you do have a direction, and based on the current situation, you do have a skill shortage in place. Who's going to fill it? So you need to know, based on the skill shortage, or based on the required skills that you need to fill in, who are the most suitable candidates that you need to attract. Luckily nowadays, you can easily search on LinkedIn. You can easily conduct online interviews. So it's very easy to spot who are the right candidates for your idea. And you can easily, or even develop like some sort of a scenario that you will ask each candidate to simulate how is going to deliver your idea. So a task that doesn't have an owner. And most of the owners of the business plan are the ones who are going to be supported by the business, not necessarily the ones who wrote it. The one who's going to back it up from the business might be the top of the business, top management, the entrepreneur himself, the CEO of the business. So the owner isn't likely to be, a task that doesn't have an owner isn't likely to be implemented. So every business plan must be owned by someone powerful inside the organization. And we call it that every business plan must have senior management or top management commitment. You can go through a business plan and look to see whether you can recognize a specific person for implementation at every point. Sometimes the business plan is developed at strategic for functions inside the organization. And after that, it's going to be handed over to those who are going to be responsible for implementing it. Definitely, in many cases, it's going to be the PMO. They might translate it into a project. And this is how modern business plans are developed in corporate worlds. Okay, a good implementation plan outlines roles, tasks, and deadlines in clear format. This enables company employees at each level to understand their roles and the desired outcome to work towards. So whenever you do have a business plan, it's going to help you set the clear roles and rules for your team members when it comes to translating the business plan into an actual output. Okay. And another factor of successful business plans is business plan communicated, or the businessman must be communicated to the people who must run it. So communicating your goals, no matter how ambitious or frankly unrealistic, can put you on a path to set unrealistic expectations. So you better manage your expectations from the beginning. Don't set high expectations. Make sure that you are communicating the right message as part of your business plan. Without communicating your plans, it's easy to get lost in your own head. But every now and then, you need to set like some sort of alignment and realignment meetings. Make sure that everyone is engaged. Create like some sort of an internal campaign that doesn't necessarily requires a lot of effort, but keeps everyone involved and backing up your business plan idea. Okay, another factor for successful business plans is a business plan gets people committed. Definitely, once you develop a business plan, top management will be involved, investors will be involved, and those who are going to be in charge for implementing your business plan, definitely they're going to be part or highly committed in backing your idea. Another factor is business plan kept. It's a document that has to be kept up to date. This is why it's called. It's treated as more of as a live document. What I mean about live document, that a business case must be always updated in order to reflect what's going on. So if the business case is not updated, definitely it's going to get easily outdated, and this in turn will affect one of the main purposes of developing a business plan, because a business plan gives you the right reasons why we're going to invest in this idea. Once it loses its viability, gets outdated, definitely it's not going to give you accurate or the right information. So no business plan is good if it's static, inflexible, has to be always updated with actual information. Planning isn't about predicting the future once a year and then following that predicted future. So planning requires always to keep your idea up to date and make adjustments and corrections. A plan must have the specific tracks and responsibilities, and everyone needs to be committed and realigned. So always make sure that your business plan is updated with relevant information, keep it up to date, and make sure that everyone is committed by conducting as many as possible alignment and realignment meetings and sessions. And even it can be in a form of a short video that you send it to your employees if you work in a big organization. Okay. Do you have any question in regarding what we covered so far? Yes, I've received a question here. Is business plan part of project management? This is a very smart question, Sarah. This is a very smart question. A business plan, you can look at it from two perspectives, by the way. I can answer this question. I'm going to answer this question from two perspectives. Number one is a business plan. In order to implement a business plan, it's better to apply, or it's better to use project management as an implementation tool in order to apply business plan. So this is the first perspective. The second perspective, usually projects are driven by business cases. So the main reason for investing in a specific project is going to be backed up by a business case. And a business case, most of the benefits that needs to be realized by the business case usually don't get realized during the course of the project. So sometimes it requires or needs several years in order to realize the benefits. And these benefits are going to get realized as part of the day-to-day operational environments. So once the project get finished, it's going to be handed over in a form of a product or service. And after that, it's going to be followed up from a form of a business plan. So how are you going to operate an actual output or a service that came as a result of a project? You need to operate it from a business plan point of view. I hope I answered your question. Another question, can you elaborate further on Blue Sky strategy? It's a strategy that helps to develop business plans, but at the same time, it can be used as another, or it can replace strategic planning. It's not well known, by the way, but you can learn more about it. But it's a new kind of a new approach. Oh, it's one of the approaches when it comes to developing a business plan. Okay, before I dive into the rest of the slides, I'm going to give you like a very easy recipe when it comes to developing a business plan. When it comes to developing a business plan, you better look at it from 5 perspectives point of view. How are you going to operate it or manage it? So if you're going to develop something that's going to be in a form of a service or a product, how are you going to operate it? So we call it you must have an operational plan. This is number one. Number two, how are you going to align it with your strategy? So you need to look at the strategic perspective. It must be considered. Number three, you need to look at the financial aspects. Number four, you must look at the commercial aspects. What I mean about commercial aspects, how are you going to establish procurement channels and mechanisms? Because the bigger your project idea, the more money that's going to for your business plan idea, whilst having highly sophisticated procurement mechanisms. And number five is, finally, you must look at it from a pure economical point of view. Are you going to create value for money or not? So this is the easiest helicopter view of how, very, very simple recipes for how to develop a business plan. Okay, building an effective business plan. How are we going to build it? And elements of business plan. These are the components of the business plan. If you look, I'm going to go very quickly, covering the rest of the slides quickly. And after that, I'm going to get back to the executive summary because I want to highlight something very important. The executive summary is one of the contents or components of a business plan. Business description, also market strategies, competitive analysis, design and development, operations and management, financial factors, and these are all of the components of a very mainly a generic type of business plan. It's not necessary to follow the same direction here, but these are the most sufficient contents of a business plan. Okay. So why we need an executive summary? This is a question. I don't want you to look at the slide. I'm just asking you a question, and I want everyone who thinks that, who do have the right answer, please feel free to type into the chat box. Why every business plan should start with an executive summary? This is a question. Okay. Having a well-articulated business, this is how you're going to sell your idea. So the more you spend time in developing a well-articulated executive summary at the beginning of a business plan, is going to help you to hook and to find the right, or to engage quickly with those who are going to support your idea. This is why I think that one of the highly important components of a business plan is having a well-written, articulated executive summary that will help to attract the right candidates. Okay, executive summary section outlines the company, and it includes the mission statement. It can include the mission statement, and mission statement is a statement in which how we're going to bridge the gap. So you do have a vision statement. Vision statement is the dreaming piece, but the mission statement is the doing piece. So it must include a mission statement or a high-level view of your strategy in the form of a mission statement, along with any information about your company's leadership, who's your leadership, who's your employees, what's the history of your company, operations, and location. The executive summary functions as a reading guide, as it highlights the key aspects of the plan and gives structure to the document. It must describe ownership and history of information, or history of formation of your company. The statement should be kept short and businesslike, probably no more than half a page. Maybe it can include more than that, but it should be shorter and shorter as possible. And it could be longer depending on how complicated the use of funds. And it must generally, but the summary of the business plan is generally no longer than 1 page. So you must give it like a summary of your business idea, business plan, and it's going to be part of the executive summary section in your business plan. And the outline must have the 5 W's. You must highlight the 5 W's is who are we and what we're going to develop, why we're going to develop it, when we're going to develop it, and where we're going to develop it, and as well as the mission statement. So this is a very, very quick high-level view of the executive summary. Always remember, this is your selling point. This is how you're going to attract the investors. So please make sure that you're developing the most engaging executive summary. Okay. Number 2, another section, which is part of the executive summary as well. You need to make sure that you need to describe, or as part of the executive summary, key elements in a form of business concept, financial features, financial requirements, current business position, major achievements. Business concept describes the product and market in which you're going to serve. And financial features includes how the business is going to return back the money by conducting how many sales cycles, and what's the profitability of the business, and the cash flows and return on investment. So these are the financial features, or sometimes we call it investment appraisals. Financial requirements, what's the capital needed, how much we need to attract, and how the business is going to, in order to help the business to expand or start. And current business position, which showcases the current situation of the business right now, but when or where the business is intended to be in the next few years. So it's furnishes relevant information about its legal form. Its legal form, is it a company, or is it a corporation, or is it a company that's established by a single person? So any kind of legal information. Does the company have a well-established board of directors? Which kind of best practices are they using when it comes to corporate governance? And many more information in that area. Major achievements of the business, like any kind of patents, any kind of inventions, patents, prototypes, locations, any kind of critical success factor for the business to start. So many businesses do have their own critical success factors. You must mention it as part of the executive summary, because it's going to help you to showcase your strengths for the investors so they can back you up when they know that you do have a strong position in the market, or you do have like a promising future in the future, inshallah. Okay. Business description, you need to clearly give a description about your business. A through business description removes any ambiguity from the process. So you need to clearly describe what are you planning to, or which kind of areas or industries that you're going to invest in. An excellent business description will describe and explain the size and structure of the firm, as well as its position in the market. Are we starting in the market, getting into the market? Are we newcomers, or are we mature players in the market? States as to whether the company is old and established, or new and aspiring, and helps to highlight the unique selling proposition, which we call it USP, unique selling proposition, which is quite close to what are our core competence areas, or what are the areas in which we're going to give our competitors a hard time. Unique selling proposition and of the products or services compared to your competitors. How are we going to differentiate from the competitors, from the other players in the market? Unique selling propositions or unique selling points. And provides information on all the various markets within the industries, including new products, developments that will help and benefit or adversely affect your business. So you need to look at other products in the market. By the way, the most concerning products in the markets are the ones that we call them cannibals. Sometimes you introduce a product, but your product can be easily get cannibalized by other products that are quite similar and close to your product. One of the examples that when Apple decided back in 2007, or before that, somewhere in 2005, 2004, to start the iPhone development or research project. At that time, Apple was very concerned about the development, or the aggressive development of the mobile phones at that time, because every mobile phone maker started to include a music player as part of their new models, such as Sony Xperia Music and Nokia Express Music, and many other players in the market. At that time, Apple, one of its successful products was the iPod. So in order to protect the iPod sales, they were very concerned from the cannibals, because they knew from that time that one day no one is going to use the iPod, as long as every mobile phone will include a music player. So they started to think about in a more creative way, why not to come up with a product that will give our competitors a hard time, and we're going to position ourselves in a very unique way in the market. So that's why they developed and they invested millions of dollars in developing the iPhone, which the iPhone really helped Apple in reposition its position in the market. And it was the beginning of an era in which Apple managed to become one of the highest profitable business right now. So you need to look at other competitors. What are they doing? And after that, you need to look way more far from the current position. Because if you couldn't be able to protect your market premises, definitely you're going to get knocked down at any point. Okay? Market strategies. This is how we're going to market our product or service. A systematic market analysis helps to determine the current position of a business and analyzes its scope for future expansion. Helps in evaluating investments, promotions, marketing, distributions, and even campaigns and products, and make plans for long-term success. And it also includes pricing. Pricing is one of the is at the heart of your marketing strategy. How are you going to price your product or service? You sometimes we use very smart pricing strategies. We use something we call a decoy, a decoy, a decoy that usually it depends on three pricings. Pricing, we call it that. This is followed by many hosting companies. Whenever you plan to subscribe to a new hosting service, you're going to open the website and you're going to see like different pricing structures, right? The first one is the basic one, and the second one, it's a bit expensive, but the features are quite satisfying. And the last one is more expensive. The hosting company wants to position you to choose the second option because, from an economical point of view, it's very easy for them to operate. The features available in the second offer can be easily automated by the business. Doesn't require any kind of human intervention. So that's why they want to position you to subscribe or to invest or to select the second option. So these are the kind of pricing strategies that you need to consider when it comes to pricing your product or service. And it has to be included in the business plan, by the way. It has to be clearly described which kind of pricing strategies that you're going to use. At the beginning of the early stages of your product, are you going to start with a low price offering, or you're going to start with a higher price offering, and once you start selling more units or more items, you're going to decrease the price gradually. These are the different approaches. It depends on the nature and the type of your product. And finally, developing a market strategy can help you provide an indication of growth. Are you selling more items? Are you growing? Are you attracting more customers? So this is one of the components that must be carefully developed as part of your business plan. Market strategies. As part of the market strategies, we're still in the market strategies section. And as part of your market strategies, you need to make sure that you need to define clearly the market, like conduct a market analysis forces the entrepreneur to become familiar with all aspects of the market, so the target market can be defined and the company can be positioned in order to garner its share of sales. And one of the ways to conduct the market analysis is to apply Michael Porter's 5 forces. It's a technique that we use in order to understand and look at the market from a perspective of suppliers, customers, and many other factors. You can look more. You can Google it, know more about Michael Porter's 5 forces or Porter's 5 forces. It's used to assess and analyze the industry. One other tool that we use or technique is product life cycle, and at the same time you can go a further step and you can start by grouping and plotting your products in what we call it a product matrix, and it's highly recommended to use the BCG, which stands for Boston Consulting Group Matrix. Okay. Projecting market share. This is one of the what I call a bit complicated exercise. This requires collecting information from the regulatory and getting more published data from the government to know exactly who are the major players in your market, so you can easily predict or you can easily come up with a market share in which you're going to know exactly who are the big players, who are the small players, and where you're going to fit in. Positioning your business before a product can be positioned, you better start by answering the question from several strategic questions, such as how are your competitors positioning themselves? Are they positioning themselves as low-cost providers or high-end providers or luxury item providers? You need to look at that. You need to answer the question from many perspectives. And what specific attributes does your product have that competitors don't? This will help to shape your competitive advantage in the market. And I highly recommend reading more about this. You can elaborate further in this point by reading the Blue Ocean Strategy book. It will give you a very good understanding about how you're going to differentiate from the other competitors and what customers needs or what customer needs does your product fulfill. This is also described by another book, which is called Blue Ocean Shift. And at the beginning of the Blue Ocean Shift, they explained how what we call it, the air fryer managed to become a cash cow for the company that developed the air fryer. It's a very interesting book, and it shows you that the more you get to know about the customer needs, this is going to help you to come up with a highly successful product that will generate millions and maybe billions of dollars as the return of your successful idea. Pricing strategy and computations can be complex. Computations can be complex. And the basic rule of pricing are straightforward. Cost pricing is one of the strategies or ways. Demand pricing, competitive pricing, and marking up pricing. These are types of pricing. Cost plus used mainly inside manufacturing entities. Cost plus pricing assures that all costs, both fixed and variable costs, are covered and desired profit percentages is attained. So this is way of pricing. Demand pricing, which used by companies that sell their products to different channels of sources of various sources at differing prices based on demand. And competitive pricing used by companies that are entering a market. So as I mentioned earlier, are you going to start with a low price or with a high price? So used by companies that are entering a market where there is already an established price and it's difficult to differentiate one product from another. If you do have the right capabilities in place that will enable you to produce in mass, we call it economy of scale, means like producing hundreds or maybe thousands or maybe million items. This will help to lower your production costs, and definitely it's going to help you to sell with the minimum profit margins, because you are at the end you're making million outputs. This is one way. And finally, marking or markup pricing used mainly by retailers. Marking up pricing is calculated by adding your desired profit to the cost of the product. Each method listed above has its strengths and weaknesses. And they are, by the way, these are not the only ones, but these are the most commonly used pricing strategies. Competitive analysis. Competitive analysis in simple terms is you need to go and assess your market from a pure competitive or from a competitor point of view. We call it competition analysis or competitive analysis, which requires developing a competitive strategy. The competitive analysis section is to understand the entry barriers for the market or the industry in which you're planning to enter. Is it hard to enter that market? Or is it easy? What are the barriers to entry and what are the barriers to exit? By the way, there are many industries that have aggressive barriers to enter the market and very complicated and difficult barriers to exit the market. One of them is aviation. Other one is telecom. These industries, you need to invest upfront millions of dollars in order to obtain the license. And after that, you need to invest millions of dollars in order to acquire the assets, acquire the talents, acquire the know-how. And it's going to be very difficult for you to easily leave the market. So the harder the market, the harder the barriers to entry, and the harder the barriers to exit, this will shape a market or a segment in the market that doesn't have too many competitors. But nowadays we hear that there are many fresh graduates who establish their own businesses, such as trading online, developing like what we call it, skincare products at home, any kind of that kind of products that are developed. These kind of ideas, one of the problems about them that they are easy to make. So the barriers to entry is very low. This means that anyone who thinks about developing such an idea or such a business is going to face many competitors in the market, because it's very easy to invest in developing such service or such product, and it's very easy to scrap it or demolish it and move into another idea. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it or you shouldn't pursue such an idea. But I'm just giving a heads up. Once it's easy to get into the market, means that other players can easily get into the market, and this creates what we call it a zero-sum game. Zero-sum game. It's a pure economic term that you can learn more about it. Okay, so the purpose of the competitive analysis is to determine the strengths and weaknesses of your competitors. So you cannot compete with all the competitors, by the way. You must find the most relevant top 5 competitors to your business. And once you start progressing in the market, definitely you're going to remove competitors in the market and add other new ones. So the more you grow, the more you're going to compete with the big players. And it's going to help you to assess your weaknesses, your strengths compared with other competitors in the market, strategies that will provide you with a distinct advantage or competitive advantage, the barriers that can be developed in order to prevent competition from entering your market, and any weakness that can be exploited within the product development. By the way, besides the barriers to entry, if they are very high in terms of you need to invest upfront, sometimes the government regulates the market, which is a common term or a common practice in many governments. We call it, the government calls it antitrust regulations or antitrust laws, because the government doesn't want any kind of monopolist to happen in the market. Sometimes the government might allow for small players in the market to play in the market, and this is applicable and acceptable for industries such as telecom and aviation. And sometimes the government wants to let go or to attract more players to get in the market. That's why we hear such terms such as regulation and deregulation in the news. Okay. You need to start by identifying and analyzing your competitors, which at the first step, you need to analyze and identify the current position of your competitors. There are 2 ways to help you to identify your competitors. One of them is going to be from the customer's point of view. Ask your customers, why are they buying from your competitors, not buying from you? This is going to give you like a very good idea. And the second approach is to group competitors into groups or segments, and start to analyze or understand what each group has, or what are the strengths for each group of your competitors. This is going to give you like a very good understanding about your stakeholder groups. And the second part is create a competitive strengths grid. And this is how you're going to compete with your competitors after getting to know which areas they are good at and what are the weaknesses. So to put together a competitive strengths grid, list all the key assets and skills down in the left margin. So it's like a table, just create a table. And after that, create all the skills in the left margin or left side of the paper. And 2-column header, put weaknesses and strengths. And after that, in each asset or skill category, place all competitors that have weaknesses in that category under the weaknesses column, and all those that have strengths in the specific category in the strengths column. So you can easily look at it from a true perspective point of view. Who do have the strengths in these areas, who do have the weaknesses, and which kind of assets they're using in order to position their strengths in the market. Okay. Now we reach the point or the level that we need to start and designing and developing the plan. A plan on which that's going to help us to execute and deliver our business plan in a form. It might be the main reasons of developing business plan. It might be a very interesting idea that you are dreaming about for a very long time, or it might be a market opportunity that will help your business to grow. So the purpose of the design and development plan in the business plan section is to provide investors with a description of the product design. How it's going to look like, your product. And it might requires including like a prototype design sometimes, or like a 3D dimensional design that will help to showcase your final product, how it's going to look like. And it will help to chart the product design charts its development within the context of production, marketing, and the company itself, and create a developing budget that will enable the company to reach its goals. So if you cannot see it, how it's going to look it, feel how it's going to look like, or see how it's going to look like, how are you going to engage stakeholders who are going to be interested about your idea? So always bring in the future or the end look of the product is going to help to motivate those involved in developing or helping you in developing your business plan. It helps to outline the technical details of the product. So the more you know about the technical details of your product and its development life cycle within the realm of production, in the sphere of circulation, it focuses on marketing and overall budget requires to reach the organizing objective. By the way, this part is very important. And sometimes the technical expertise usually comes from involving the right suppliers. So you need to engage with the right suppliers, those who do have the right expertise, the right experience in the past. So they're going to help you to come up with the right technical information. And this, going back to Apple again, back in 2001 exactly, or 2000, when Apple decided to introduce the iPod, it was as a result that they heard from the news that Toshiba invented a 1.8-inch super silent hard disk. So Apple team, or Apple sent the team. The team went to Japan, and they knew more about the technical aspects of these kind of new super silent hard drives, and it was the basis or the core basis of the development of the iPod that was originally introduced in 2001. Okay, so this requires partnering with the right vendors who are going to supply you with the right technical expertise. There are generally 3 areas you will cover in the development plan section when it comes to as part of your business plan. Product development, how are you going to develop your product? How are you going to market it? How are you going to market the market development? How are you going to start establishing a market? And finally, how are you going to develop your organization, which is the supporting structure as part of your business plan. The first step in the development process is to setting the goals for the overall development plan, in which you're going to start actually translating your ideas into actuals. From your analysis of the market and competition, most of the product, market, and the organization development goals will be readily apparent. So in this stage, you're going to be more and more confident as much time as you spend in understanding the market conditions, the competitors, and the regulations, and the customers as well, and suppliers, as I mentioned. Operations and management plan. Here comes the time that we want to start operating. And this is the actual business as usual phase in our business plan. The operations plan describes the cycle of business functions needed for survival and growth. It includes management functions such as tasks, division, hierarchy, employees, structure, recruitment, and operational functions such as logistics and value chain, distribution, and other capital and expenses. From this part of the area that I've highlighted, you can learn more about it if you Google about the value chain that's developed again by Michael Porter. The value chain is going to give you like a very good understanding about what are the main processes and what are the support processes that you need to consider when it comes to establishing a business or operating the business. So this is one aspect. When it comes to developing a structure for your organization, you can Google more and know about the 5-star model when it comes to developing the best structure for your organization. And there are many approaches for developing the right organization structure for your company. Okay, much like a statement of purpose, this allows an enterprise to explain its uniqueness to the readers and customers. And your uniqueness should be part of your strategic or your main reason of existence, why you are existing in the market and why you're going to serve your customers, because you are delivering something that's unique and everyone wants to definitely is very, very excited about either buying it or using your service. It showcases the ways in which the firm can deliver great and superior product at cheaper rates and in relatively less time, but it's not necessarily it has to be cheaper. Finally, you may sometimes cheaper is not convincing, but this is the most common way that customers look for low costs nowadays, but it's not necessarily that you're going to come up with a cheap product, because still customers buy, there are still customers who buy luxury items. Which kind of target audience are you serving? From the early beginnings, you need to identify and position yourself as either as a mass provider or as specific, focused, differentiated kind of a customer or like a product provider in order to only attract or target specific small group, but definitely this small group is willing to invest aggressively in order to buy your product or service. And finally, right from responsibilities of your management team, the requirements of capital to run different operations, tasks assigned to different people within the organization. The plan should contain every prominent factor. So you need to make sure that you do have the right budgeting plan, budgeting place that's going to cover all the expenses, starting from the salaries and goes all the way down to rent, and even how you're going to furnish it, how much it's going to cost you to buy create the most motivating environment in which all the staff will work in a very friendly, cozy environment. Financial factors, yes, and this is at the heart of the core of any business plan. Financial section should include the company's balance sheet and cash flow projection. Financial data is imperative to provide credibility to any assertions or claims made about the future profitability of the business. How are we going to attract investors in order to invest in our business? So we have to be very transparent, and we're very careful in developing the right financial information in this part. The aim is to provide an accurate idea of the company's value and ability to bear operational costs and earn profits. And financial data is always at the back of the business plan, but that doesn't mean it's any less important than upfront materials such as business concept and the management team. Yes, but it's one of the successful factors for every business case is to come up with the right financial and to use and apply the right financial models as part of your business plan. Financial statements, like bad news, they come in threes. The news in the financial statement isn't always bad, of course, but Taken together, it provides an accurate picture of the company's current value plus its ability to pay its bills today and earn a profit going forward. You need to make sure that your data, when it comes to developing the financial projections, are as accurate as possible and as transparent as possible. Plus, you need to always consider part of your financial modeling or financial section in your business plan is to include different scenarios in which how your business is going to, which kind of business, different scenarios in which how you're going to showcase for your investors in case of your making good, in case of good situations, how you're going to maximize your business profitability, and at the end, or even during hard times, how you're going to deal with the worst case scenarios and so on. Yes. Okay. Steps of building a business plan. Now I'm going to open the floor for more questions. Okay. I received a new question. Can you please reshare the tools for market research? There are many tools for market research, either by creating like a focus group or like creating like a questionnaire, or by creating like, or start by creating like a group of spies. We call them mystery shoppers. So this depends on the industry in which you're going to research. So these kind of examples are more applicable when it comes to selling products that are sold in shops or supermarkets or can be easily found. But if you are going to develop a service that's only applied by a small group of service providers, the case is going to be different in that case. And are the information available online? So you've got two types of information that you can easily data. The data is either going to be desk. You need to conduct a desk research, which requires going through your competitors' information, opening their websites, going through their social media platforms, going and getting the information from the news ads. But by the way, the ads in the street, the billboards, the ads in newspapers, in magazines, and radio stations, TV channels can give you another good direction about who's investing aggressively in the market, what are the products, what are the key products. Okay. Mohammed ask a question: do calculations of needed capital done in business planning? Yes, you need to know exactly how much capital you need to in order to develop a business plan. You need to consider the capital, both capital, the fixed assets, or what we call it, the capex, the capital, the actual capital expenditure, and the operational budget, which we call it OPEX. But plus, you need to consider if you're going to pay taxes in the early years, and to set aside what we call it a contingency budget. So these are the factors. You need the capex, you need the OPEX, and you need to consider if you're going to pay taxes and set aside like a contingency budget. And this depends on how many years you're going to rely on your own or pay from your own pockets, and until your product starts to sell and starts to generate sufficient returns that will help to pay back all the administrative fees and all the expenses as part of your business. Any other question? Okay, I'm going to proceed. So business plan steps. This is a very high level view of the business plan. And as you can see, this is a summary of what we covered in the previous section, the components of the contents of the business plan. So the business plan steps to write a business plan are, or what are the sections of the business plan, or the steps is to create an executive summary. It has to be a highly attractive executive summary. Choose your company description, describe it very well. Summarize market research and potential, which will showcase the accuracy of information, the data that you collected. Conduct a competitive analysis. Don't be biased about yourself. try to be very, very realistic at this stage. Describe your product or service. The more you describe it, the clearer you describe it, the more and easily, or the easily the suppliers are going to provide you with the right technical inputs. 6, develop a marketing and sales strategy, which is quite obvious, and compile your business financials. How are you going to generate profits and how are you going to pay for the expenses? Describe your organization and management and the structure of the business, and explain your funding requests, how you're going to attract funding. And finally, you need to compile an appendix for official documents, such as regulations by the government and any kind of licenses that you obtain, any kind of information that can be kept as part of the appendix section. So this is a very high level overview about your business plan and what are the components of your business plan. Definitely, you need to keep on improving your business plan, which means that you need to keep it up to date, always up to date, especially for the kind of business plan that's going to serve as a guiding document when it comes to developing and operating your final product or service. And you need to follow definitely the right to equip yourself with the right tips to write a business plan. And these are the right tips for developing a business plan. Is definitely start by knowing your audience, be efficient with your plan, keep yourself honest, accept help, and proofread and know your competition. So we're going to start with knowing your audience. The more you get to know your target audience, this will help you to position yourself in the market. It will help you to know your value proposition, your competitive advantages, and this will help you to develop the most sustainable business idea and the most sustainable business, or the most sustainable and profitable business plan. That in turn is going to help you to translate it into a sustainable, profitable business. Be efficient with your plan. Be sure that every single word and image in your plan serves a purpose. So make sure that everything is accurate. You don't want window dressing. You don't want to just gold plate for the sake of window dressing here. So always be concise and getting straight to the point. That will help you make your plan more digestible and easier to understand. This brings in that the power of creating a buzz. Make sure that you choose the right words that will help to engage and attract the investors. Keep yourself honest, be honest and realistic. Use industry or sector benchmarks or kind of industry language as well to determine what those realistic measures are, and be wary of inflating projections. Don't inflate your projections in order to showcase that you are getting into a wow idea or a wow product. This is a very common problem and it doesn't help anyone out. And this is commonly found in nowadays, that many youngsters or many entrepreneurs who just want to make it, they think that establishing a business is very easy. Just copy paste a business plan. They just submit it, and they think that it's going to be easy for them to submit it to a bank. By the way, banks are very aggressive when it comes to assessing business plans. So be aware of this part. Accept help. Yes, you need to choose any non-profit or association that offers a large network of volunteer business mentors and experts who can help you write or edit your business plan. You can find them online. You can even approach like websites like Upwork, any kind of skill, or any kind of website that showcases those who are skilled in developing business plans. And you can, if your business plan is a multi-million kind of a business plan idea that requires millions of dollars to be injected, you better go and approach a proper consultancy firm, such any one of the big 5 consultancy firms can help you out, such as McKinsey, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Ernst & Young, KPMG, Deloitte, or BCG as well, or Bain Consulting. Okay, and proofread. By the way, one of the things that will easily turn using wrong words, using or developing a business plan that's not well designed, that doesn't look good, that's full of grammatical or spelling mistakes. Be aware of this part and know your competitors. The more you know your competitors, the more you're going to come up with the most differentiated approach, differentiated service or product. Be creative. Develop a good summary is essential. Show you are conservative. Document why your idea will work. Empty claims and overestimating on your financial projections. Be creative. Always use good designs. Be creative about showcasing your business plan. You can use a template, a very good template that's going to help you to develop your business plan. You can find good templates in Canva. You can find good templates available online. You can find good templates in Microsoft Office. You can find good templates as part of Pages in Apple. A good summary is essential. Many investors read only the summary. That's why you need to pay attention to the executive summary. Make sure that you spend enough time in developing the most attracting executive summary. Show you are conservative. Yeah. Conservative means that the money that the investors are going to invest is not going to be wasted. Show them that you do care about their money. You're very conservative about the projection and the approach that you're going to apply. Don't showcase them that you're rebellious or a rebel in this case. And document why your idea will work. You need to showcase why your idea is going to be work. Look at the customer needs. In this case, you need to look at the customer needs. You need to showcase why your product or service is going to help a customer need. Empty claims. If you make a statement without supporting it, try to make sure that you are supporting every single information or numbers in your business plan with the right assumptions or right accurate information. And this can be easily by applying or showcasing any kind of statistical information, any kind of diagrams or charts, or any kind of economical information that you gathered from the government that's going to help and support your case. And finally, overestimating on your financial projections. Please stop being optimism or optimism bias. Overly optimistic about your idea, overly excited about your idea. You have to make it always reasonable. You have to showcase all the scenarios, as I mentioned earlier, the best case, the most likely case, and the worst case in your financial models. Okay, usually a business plan, in terms of when it comes to the business plan template, the business plan, as we mentioned, consists of the 10 parts, which includes all the 9 parts here, and plus an appendix at the end. So these are the main components of your business plan. By the way, there are many books out there which you can find in Amazon, and these books provide you with ready-made business plans for many industries. So you can buy a book that consists of 20, maybe 30 business plans in different fields. One of them is how to develop an ice cream shop, business plan for building an ice cream shop. One of them is going to be like a business plan for establishing a farm. Another example is going to be about a business plan for opening a training center, and many more examples. So you can find many more information about how to develop business plans from books sold at Amazon. Okay, now we reach the end of today's webinar about how to develop a business plan, developed by Becca, presented by me, Luay Dirar. It was really nice to have you all. And now I'm going to open the floor for more questions, please. Yes, I've got a question from Suhaib Ali. He said that شو الأفضل للشركات الناشئة خطة عمل أو خطة استراتيجية. It doesn't matter which approach that you're going to select. But from my point of view, I think that for startup companies at the beginning, they will not have the right direction in place. So it's better to start with a business plan, obtain or attract the investors, develop your business. Once you feel that you are in solid grounds, now you can think about establishing a strategy. Okay. Muhsin Hassoun, he asked, how can business model influence the business plan? By the way, business models are quite close to strategies. And business models is look at as business models as gears on how you're going to bring all or many factors all together in order to create a value proposition in the market. So they are both can be coupled. So you can include a business model inside your business plan. So it's going to help you. It's going to help you to come up with the most solid, or it's going to help you to refine your business plan. So yeah, it's highly recommended to include a business model, the business model as part of your business plan. I would highly recommend go and read the Business Model Generation, developed by Alexander Osterwalder. It's a very nice book to read, full of diagrams and charts. Thanks for all of you. Do you have any further questions? Please free. Okay, I've received another question. Muhammad, okay, there are many different sorts of challenges when we begin with our business plan. So how should I overcome those challenges? Yeah, this is reality. There is no business easy to start. Cannot start a business easily. This is a reality. But the best way to overcome the challenges is to imitate. What I mean about imitation is to try to follow the tail of other businesses. And this is a new term right now. It's well known. They call them as market disruptors. The market disruptors, they found an existing service or an existing product, but they made it in a better way. So you can copy other ideas, improve on them, or imitate an existing idea, make some minor changes, and resell it again. This is a good way of how to start a business idea, and this is definitely going to be reflected in developing the most accurate version of a business plan. Okay. بارك الله فيكم جميعا. جزاكم الله ألف خير. شكرا. Thank you.